I think that one of the things that help kids recover is to find a purpose greater than themselves. If I can find something that's greater than myself that I care about, that's why gangs are so effective. Find something that's a passion, not necessarily the work you do every day, but find an organization that aligns with a passion that you care about. We also help you to establish your credit. So every time you pay your rent, your credit goes up. And so this is about restoring people's lives. People have struggled so much during COVID. And during the biggest epidemic we face, which is addiction and homelessness right now. I no longer had to hide my life as a foster child, my life as an African American in a town that was all white. And so the reason why my organization, I think, is successful and why people work with our company is because we do it's because it's the right thing to do, period.
Good morning. So today I have Jonathan Oza, who is a leader and an innovator in the recovery industry. Jonathan owned one of the largest continuums of care sober industries in Northern California, Stepping Up. In 2005, Stepping Up was acquired by Cornerstone Sober Living. He's lived all his life making sure that he makes a difference in a lot of people's lives, which is something that's very important just because a lot of us live for ourselves, but it's a life that you live for others what matters the most. Let's welcome Jonathan on 10 Minutes of Hiring Wisdom, where he will tell us about what it takes to live for others and what he's learned along the way. Hi, Jonathan. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, Jonathan. So can you tell us about your journey, Jonathan, where you currently are at and what led to it?
Sure. I guess my journey really starts when, I was born into the system. I was born into the foster system. I was a foster child in the East Coast in New York, and kind of passed around throughout the county services. And through that, I obviously gained some resilience in life. I think that in this market today, post-COVID, everybody's got to have resilience, right? Everybody's got to be able to survive whatever is going on around us. And I think that comes down to empowerment, which is my radio show called My Empowered Hour. So what's made me successful, I think, is that I've taken a little bit of that journey, and I've empowered myself on those things that, may have been considered, difficult or hard to get through. I use those as tools of empowerment.
Okay. I think I have a question, Jonathan. So a lot of kids, I studied psychology, so I studied a lot about foster care, a lot of children who aren't as lucky to develop traits like resilience, and they usually end up with mental health issues and everything. How did you take such a positive outcome from you being passed around from family to family and become successful towards the end?
Sure.
Would love to understand that.
Sure. I don't know that it was always positive. I barely graduated high school. I joined the military because I lost a scholarship because I was hit by a drunk driver and I wasn't able to play baseball anymore. And so I went into the military, and luck as it would have it, when I got out, I was reactivated for the war. So I served in Desert Storm. And upon that, my addiction kicked off. And so I was always kind of seeking approval, as a foster kid would do. Most children that are in the foster program don't feel that people want them, that people, like them. And so we do things like we excel in sports, or we excel in areas that will get us noticed, or we'll do things like we'll act out because we're looking for approval or attention. And mine just came later in life. And so the addiction kicked in. I spent the next 8 years after the war homeless. And from there, I was introduced to a group of people who kind of helped me rebuild myself from the inside out, which is finding a purpose. I think that one of the things that help kids recover is to find a purpose greater than themselves. If I can find something that's greater than myself that I care about, that's why gangs are so effective. I hate to bring that up, but gang affiliations are effective for kids that don't have a place to go because they're fighting for something that's a higher purpose. Their friends, their family, they're now family, right? And they will do anything for those people. So that's my story.
It's very inspiring, and I'm in awe of how far you've come, being hit by a truck, serving into the military, being homeless. You managed to turn your life around, and here you are making a difference in so many people's lives. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for sharing that, Jonathan. Speaking about it gives me goosebumps. So I don't even know what you went through, and here you are as an inspiring leader. So it's great to see that your life worked out for you. I'd love to understand, Jonathan, where you currently are, what do you do, and what you've learned along the way, other than resilience, of course, that you think would be a useful trait for job seekers in the 21st century.
Sure. I think that, I was a recruiter by trade for the last 15 years. I come from Flint, Michigan, which suffered the highest layoffs during the automotive crash. So I come into this, passion, honestly, that, in finding, employment today and in finding opportunities that are, a fit. More and more, the economy is moving and the industry is moving towards passion-driven, mission-driven organizations. It's no longer about just finding a cool technology or a job just to bring a paycheck home. Many of these organizations are mission-driven, and they care about impact, social impact. Find something that's a passion, not necessarily the work you do every day, but find an organization that aligns with a passion that you care about. This higher purpose that the company serves will help you come in each and every day, even when you're struggling with whether or not you're outdated, whether you're an aging person trying to get into the work economy and trying to redevelop yourself or redefine yourself. I currently no longer am a staffing agent. I own a company called Seekhaven, which helps people that are in transition find housing. So whether you're in sober living or you're just coming out of incarceration or you're potentially going to become homeless, on our platform, you can find an open bed and find yourself safe housing. And during that process, when you pay your rent, we also help you to establish your credit. So every time you pay your rent, your credit goes up. And so this is about restoring people's lives. People have struggled so much during COVID. And during the biggest epidemic we face, which is addiction and homelessness right now. So our organization is focused on that.
Well, it's funny how some companies that are known for capitalism are increasing their prices. There's inflation, but there are some people out there like you who are making sure that people have a bed and aren't out in the streets. So just the comparison itself, it's absolutely stunning, just because I think there's so much wealth in this world, and if only a small amount of it is distributed among the homeless or poor people, so much difference can happen. So definitely inspired, Jonathan, and thank you so much for sharing that. Last question, Jonathan, for you would be, what was one thing that you learned along the way that inspired you to make your life all about others? Of course, you've gone through so much trauma your whole life, but was there a particular moment in your life where you were like, oh, okay, I want to do something for others now?
I think that as a young boy, just as any young child does, they see a person, a fireman or a police officer, or they see a teacher, or they see a sports figure. And the eyes that I saw them through were, I wanted a life anything other than my own, right? I would do anything to be anybody but myself. And early on, when I was running away from the foster home that was abusive, and teachers and coaches took me under their wing, they took an interest in me. And what happened because of that is they made me feel like it was okay to be me. I no longer had to hide my life as a foster child, my life as an African American in a town that was all white, right? And the turning point for me was when I realized that as much as I thought it was about just me by myself, that I was going through the struggle, that wasn't true. That the people that I really wanted to be like were people that were helping people, and they were helping me. And they were doing it for no earthly reason other than it was the right thing to do. And so the reason why my organization, I think, is successful and why people work with our company is because we do it's because it's the right thing to do, period. And that's what I've learned. Do what's right because it's the right thing to do.
That's amazing. I think a lot of people usually go where the crowd goes, and they don't even use the rationale that something might be right, and you just have to do it just because there's a difference between right and wrong. So thank you for sharing that. But other than that, Jonathan, our time is up. It was absolutely amazing learning about how far you've come along, how you turned your life around, and how you're living your life for others. It's inspiring to see that people like you still exist in a world where so many greedy people exist who have so much money, yet they don't still help people. But people like you who are out there inspiring others with their journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.